Technical difficulties, I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Kimberly, and I am the host of This Fat Girl Life. We had some technical difficulties there. I'm so sorry about that. So, tonight we are going to be discussing body image and men struggling with that. Because it's not an issue that only women have have problems with. This is something that transcends male, female, everybody struggles with body image. So tonight, my guest is somebody very near and dear to me, my husband, John.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being on here with me and being willing to open up about this. Before we get started, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, as she said, my name is John. I work at a local country club, part-time dishwasher, part-time pantry cook. And let's see, Kim is actually my second wife. I do have one child from my first marriage, daughter. She is, 20 years old, almost 21. And kind of drawing a blank here. But I am here to, obviously support my wife in what she's doing and to hopefully help some other people with these ongoing concerns and issues that everybody deals with in one form or another.
Sorry, I forgot to turn off my ringtone. I'm struggling all over the place tonight.
I should turn mine down too, huh?
So, body image is not something that is very easy to discuss or even openly discussed that much. I mean, even in our marriage, it's not something that we openly discuss a whole lot. I think the first time really that it even became something that we discussed as far as you having issues, we were actually on a trip out to the eastern plains of Colorado, and the hotel we were staying at had a hot tub. And
hot tub and swimming pool.
Yeah, hot tub and swimming pool. But I've always been the person, especially probably the past 8 years, I would buy a swimsuit, but I wouldn't actually wear it. And so I decided I really wanted to be in that hot tub. So I bought a swimsuit and put it on and jumped in. John, however, put on the swim trunks and got in with a t-shirt.
No, I took it off before we got in, but I almost got in there with the t-shirt on. It's been an ongoing issue of being self-conscious of how I look without a t-shirt on. It's always been there. I don't even really know where it kind of started. I mean, when I was little, my family, my dad was in the Air Force and we were stationed down in Florida Keys. I mean, come on, paradise right there. And going down to the beach was nothing for us, but somewhere from that point to where I'm at now, it developed. I don't know where it came from, but I mean, when I was running around, 5, 6, 7 years old on the beach, it was swim trunks and that was it. You'd jump in the water and have a good time, get sunburnt if, there was multiple times that happened. But, like I said, I don't know technically where that actually started to develop. Sometime after we moved here to Colorado.
So I know this is asking you to think back, but what was the defining moment that, at that time, at that hot tub that made you decide to go ahead and just, take off the t-shirt and jump in?
Probably the other dad that was actually in there he was taller than I am, but he was also bigger, but he had tattoos. And I kind of saw the tattoos and I'm like, I got tattoos. Let's show them off. And then I took my shirt off. and not a single person even took a second glance at me, except for probably to look at my back piece. But that's it's a pretty sizable piece. But it just but there was still a little bit of uneasiness, and I guess you could kind of say hiding in the water was kind of the second part of that. It's so yeah, I mean, it's I'm not. I guess you could say I'm the one that has the dad bod, but yeah, like I said, what the other guy that was there, he was having a grand old time with his kids, throwing them in the water, playing ball with them in the pool, and he just had his swim trunks on. And like I said, he had the tattoos, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay. And off came the shirt.
Okay. So I know you kind of said, as a small child, that you just, ran around in the swim trunks, whatever, on the beach. And then somewhere later on, do you think there was a defining moment that started triggering those issues? Because I know you played sports in high school.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of you in high school. And to look at you, I wouldn't see that there were any body images that you had in high school. But is it something that you think was going on in high school even?
I would say probably, and this is an ad, because I was pretty heavy into reading comic books younger on, or graphic novels, as a lot of people call them nowadays. But one of the ads that they had in there, and this ad has been around since probably, I'm almost guessing, since about the 50s. And it's one of those where, you have the skinny runt looking guy, he's trying to hit on the good looking gal. And then the big muscular guy comes over and, he's kicking sand in his face and, telling me that, he's a wimp, doesn't have the body that, basically emphasizing in the whole basis of the commercial is to improve how you look in order to get the girl.
Okay.
And even that, as when I was a kid, obviously there's no social media, but you do have the commercials, you have the movies, with the good looking guy, the hero of the movie that gets the guy, gets the girl, gets the guy. That's nowadays, not back then. Anyway, gets the girl, has the hot, the bad, nice cars, that kind of stuff. And those images, they kind of just come and go, and they kind of, they pop in, and you start kind of considering, as far as my social life back then, it was not very active, I guess is a good word for it. And so, it kind of, that also kind of sets in of, you've tried to ask a couple of girls out and it doesn't happen. You don't have a car. And there was no really direct comments of, you don't look the part, so to speak. But again, like I said, that ad, you see that ad and you kind of, so that hence the reason, one of the reasons why I joined football to, look a little better. But it just never really, I guess, again, like I said, I don't know 100% where it started coming from, but it was there. And it just started to develop over time and became a concern of, how I look. Do I look good enough, or, that kind of thing.
So do you think it's something that as you've grown into, an adult, a husband, a grandfather, all that, do you think it's something that's progressively gotten worse over time, or is it something that got worse and then got better? How do you feel it's progressed?
I don't really feel like it's gotten worse, but it never really went away. I have, especially after meeting you, I have kind of worked on feeling better about myself as far as how I look, presenting myself. I mean, there was a time when if I was off work, because the workplace place that I was in for 15 plus years, you had to have a certain look, had to have a uniform, you had to, present yourself in a presentable manner. But outside of work, forget it. I was, grunge city. I didn't care how I looked, how I went to the store. It was, and my late ex really kind of didn't help with that either. She never, when we'd go out, it was like pulling hen's teeth in order to get her to dress up and actually be presentable. And and I'm not trying to say that in a way of being presentable of how everybody else thinks she should look, but I wanted her to, look good, I guess, to make myself look good as well, or us to look like a really good looking couple.
Look good, feel good.
Right. Look good, feel good. And that got down to the point where, she was really dressing worse than I was. I've had a couple of girlfriends over the years that have cheated on me with no real explanation as to why, with the exception of one of them. I know she, there was a point where we were apart and she said she felt lonely. And, but that was really, and that also gets you kind of wondering of, what did I do wrong? Or do I not look good enough? Do I not, and I saw a couple of the guys that these girls cheated on me with. One guy was kind of the bad guy looking guy with the, the leather jacket, the tattoos. And then the other guy that I saw was kind of the blonde, wavy hair, blue-eyed looking guy that, like Prince Charming. I have an image in my head from the movie Shrek. But, those things do have a big influence on how you present yourself, how you feel about yourself, especially when you can't get an answer from somebody as to why they did what they did. They just did it and they didn't care. And that's how you kind of, but, so it's, after a certain point of time of those, not being able to talk to somebody about that, you just kind of basically bundle it all inside and
come up with answers yourself.
Come up with your own answers, and most of the time they're the negative answers, and it has a long-term effect on you.
Okay, well, we are going to take a really quick 30-second break. Top off your water, join us back here, and we are going to kind of go into more of a social media aspect with body image. We'll be right back. Would you like to support this podcast? Simply go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Kimberly Plezia. And now, back to our podcast. Okay, guys, I'm back. Told you it was a super fast break. So we're discussing men and body image issues. We have my husband, John, here with us, who is really kind of opening up in a pretty impressive way about some issues that he's struggled with body image. And now we're going to kind of go to a more of a social media aspect with body image and what it presents, both in a positive, a positive way and in a negative way. So that being said, I know because we're married, I know things. Mm-hmm. I know you're on Facebook. I know you're on Instagram. I know you're on TikTok, a few things like that. Do you see a lot on your social media feeds that affect you one way or another as far as body image?
Oh, that's a tough one. Sorry, I wasn't trying to go blank there, but I guess I kind of go with things that I like to follow. I know one of your biggest uh, dislikes is my naked cats. But
They creep me out. They
which a
creep me
lot of
out.
those are more on my Instagram feed, but I do have some other stuff. But in a way, I guess there are. I mean, I still have images that come across, of the uh, what's a good word? I guess appearances of way certain people should look. But I know, I mean, nowadays, a lot of time, I guess kind of where I go is there are a lot of people that tend to want to look how they feel they should look, not how everybody else feels they should look. And so I tend to go in that direction. I mean, I still have kind of an image of how I try to present myself out in public, but again, it's not what everybody else thinks I should look like. It's how I feel I should look like. I'm not sure I'm fully
So
answering
would that
your
be
question.
more, you think, of a self-acceptance stream?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the way I direct my social media is I direct it more towards, I guess, more positive stuff, things that I have an interest, model trains, fast cars like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, things like that. Things that are really nice to look at and, obviously wish you could kind of own, but it's, I tend to steer my social media away from what everybody else thinks you should be watching.
Okay.
So I direct it to um, more positive stuff like Steve Harvey. I follow him, and a lot of videos that he posts are very positive of how you should feel about yourself or how you should get to a place that makes you feel better. It's kind of like being a life coach. You try to encourage somebody to have more positive outlook on different things. And I try to stay away from social media of that's demeaning towards anybody, because it's you don't the more negativity you have in your life, the more negative you're going to be. So having more positive images and or things that you follow, you're going to have that better positivity. I mean, one of the things I follow is the DIY page, and they have a lot of stuff on there of things that you can build on your own. And then there are some things, because of lack of tools, obviously you can't build them, but it's still fun to watch. I get into that kind of stuff anyway. So like I said, I guess long story short, I tend to direct my feeds to stuff that interests me in a more positive way than being more negative and or pointing a finger at you saying you need to look at like this, you have to wear this watch, or you have to wear this suit. Which, I mean, when TV first came out, that was basically how the advertising was.
Yeah.
So I try to keep mine more positive.
Okay, so I have another question, and maybe this should have been asked earlier, but I just thought of it.
Did it hurt?
Not really. It's pretty easy, actually.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, marriage joke.
Yeah.
If you could talk to your younger, earlier self
Mm-hmm.
in the place where you're at now, what advice would you give them or give your younger self as far as body image? See, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I think honestly the best piece of advice on that is to don't worry about what other people think. It's how you feel about yourself. Don't worry about having the dad bod. I mean, everybody's built differently. Everybody has a physique that is different. And I'll be honest with you, trying to maintain a muscular physique it's not really something I want to do. Going to the gym and working out, 5-6 hours a day, or 2-3-4 hours a day, however, every day, that's a lot of work. And, like I said, it is to actually tell my younger self, basically just don't worry about it. And there's not that many people really that you're around that are really going to care about it. And if they do, then you don't need to be around them. And because they're looking at you doesn't mean they're looking at you, scrutinizing you, or so yeah, I think honestly, and if you feel the need to make yourself look better, whether it's how your body looks. I mean, there are ways to do it without a lot of surgery or overly exercising. I mean, there's a lot of people, especially celebrities nowadays, that have been in that heavy set position that are finding ways to be less heavy set, but without having to do a lot of heavy workouts. And some of them, I mean, some of them do get motivated that way. That's their thing. I'm sorry, I don't get motivated that way, but it is, watching what you eat. I mean, cutting down from, say, 2-3 sodas a day down to 1 soda a day, or, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I guess basically long story short, to, just say, don't worry about what everybody else thinks, or just be who you are, let it hang out, so to speak.
So, final question for you,
Okay.
and I ask this of every guest.
Yes, you do.
What is one thing that you love about yourself?
One thing that I, excuse me, one thing that I love about myself is that I have kind of taught myself not to be closed-minded to others out there. Don't set yourself into, because I was one of those that kind of had a specific person that I wanted to be with, or kind of a specific way that they looked. And over the years, I've taught myself, based off of advice from others, whether they knew they were giving me advice or not. I've taught myself to be appreciative of all people, instead of saying, "Ooh, that person's weird, so don't hang around with them," or "that person is, that person is this way, so you don't want to be around that." It's not, I guess the best way to describe it is that I've opened myself up to a lot broader aspect of being appreciative of everybody, because everybody has something to give. I don't care who you are. I mean, there are some very negative people out there, but you will learn who those people are, and a lot of times very quickly, and how to, I mean, there are some people you do have to avoid, but there are some people out there. I mean, Kim and I have some really great friends on Facebook that we've had the pleasure of actually personally meeting, and there are some people out there that would not give them a second glance just because of the way they look. And you're missing out on some really fantastic people by doing that.
Very true.
So,
well, thank you so much for coming on my show tonight.
You're very welcome.
I hope that, this definitely speaks to people. Next week, we are going to have Dr. Leanne, my personal chiropractor, joining us. And we're going to be discussing weight on, the plus size of it, even on the more standard or normalized size of it, and the importance of, taking care of yourself, whether it be through chiropractic or whatever. And I'm going to be discussing fat shaming. which is something that I personally have experienced with some doctors. And that's part of why Dr. Leanne is coming on, because it's something that I've never experienced with her. And that's part of why I love her. So join me next week with Dr. Leanne DeLand. I can't wait to talk to you guys. Bye, guys.
Bye.